Hey YouTube, Waylon Smith here, and today I want to talk about the law in Kentucky that requires 50-50 custody to be the default position during divorce proceedings. Before we get into this, if you like this type of content, please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to make sure you see when I put up the next video. Thank you so much. Now let's get started. A quick background on this law. This law is legally known as KRS 403.270, and its accompanying statute, which is KRS 403.315, limiting the presumption in cases involving domestic violence, primarily dealing with custodial issues, and this was passed back in 2018. This law specifically looks at the best interests of the child and creating the default presumption of joint custody and equally shared time between both parents. Quoting, in my opinion, the most important line from the statute, KRS 403.270, quote, subject to KRS 403.315, there shall be a presumption, rebuttal by a preponderance of evidence, that joint custody and equal shared parenting time is in the best interest of the child, end quote. The main idea was to decrease the favoritism towards the mother by creating a legal, quote unquote, even playing field for child custody in the event of a divorce or other form of legal separation, making the default assumption by the court to give 50-50 custody to both parents. States that have passed an equal or approximate law are as follows: Arkansas, Florida, Missouri, and West Virginia. And states that have also introduced laws but have yet to be passed are Alabama, Alaska, Georgia, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, and Wyoming as of September 2025. Looking at the data, after 7 years of the law being in place, according to the CDC state divorce rate, which is per 1,000 people, the divorce rate in Kentucky fell from 3.5% in 2018 to 3% in 2022. This shows a staggering 14% decline in divorces since that law has been enacted. However, something to note is that this divorce rate is falling nationwide due to the lack of people getting married. So this trend is more of a correlation, not so much proof of causation. However, there is a very, very strong correlation, and it's pretty safe to assume that this law has likely had a meaningful effect in the divorce rates over the past 5 years, according to the CDC. Personally, even though I'm very against the idea and the concept of government having any form of role in relationships and marriages, I think that it is necessary and a welcome change to the family court system. Kentucky's implementation of this law and its subsequent widespread adoption and consideration of the law shows that there is strong support for this kind of legislation, especially with men. I see the benefits of this law over time are as follows. 1. Protecting fathers' rights. Since the family court system has always defaulted custody to mothers, default 50-50 custody will allow the balance between both parties. Prior to this law going into effect, fathers knew that with almost a absolute certainty, retaining any form of custody of their children post-divorce was very slim to probably none. And with the added great bonus of having to pay child support for a child you don't even get to see. Number 2, promoting the nuclear family. Our society has tried its absolute hardest to make the nuclear family next to impossible for most people to obtain, especially with one income source like in the 1950s. Many variables are involved in the breakdown of the society building institution, but this law should deter any reckless decision making since it no longer rewards one party for leaving a marriage to win essentially cash and prizes. Number 3, stability for children. Statistically, it's been shown that children who do not have both parents present, specifically the father, lead to undesirable outcomes, such as higher incarceration rates, emotional and behavioral problems, depression, anxiety, substance abuse, and lower levels of academic achievement. Not incentivizing divorce through the use of the legal system, in my opinion, is a huge step to help children grow up in an environment that gives them the best chance to succeed and develop normally. Number 4, reduction in the occurrence of quote unquote fighting dirty in the family court system due to the reduced, if not completely eliminated, incentive of fighting over custody for children in court. Now, I want to preface that I am for divorce, even though that is technically what I would consider to be a nuclear option in the event of an abusive household. Nobody should stay in those situations whatsoever, and I believe that the law needs to be there in case that does happen. However, laws like this that allow for this option's viability to be more directed and decisive, since the evidence of abuse has to be clearly presented to the court thanks to the accompanying clause of KRS 403-315, also 50-50 custody being the default does not mean that this is a legal requirement. In the cases of making school schedules, travel times, and any other variable that causes economic stress on either party, families can customize their own custody schedules to fit their needs. Ultimately, I like what Kentucky has done with this law, and so do many other states, which is why they're introducing their own version. As someone who does want to get married and wants to have kids one day in the future, I would like more of these legal safety barriers to be deliberated and passed to allow for nuclear families to become the norm once again. If you made it to the end of the video, please let me know your thoughts on 50-50 custody. Should it become the default custody stance nationwide, or do you think there's better alternative? Until next time, have a great day.